Admiral, radar shows that we have liberals approaching at 3 o'clock, and libertarians at 9 o'clock, and conservatives at 6 o'clock. They're coming from every angle, every viewpoint. Oh, it's Political Radar with your hosts, Rhonda and Elliot.
Hey, all you political junkies, welcome to Political Radar, the best 30 minutes of unscripted, uncensored political talk you will hear all day. I want to say that with an accent one of these days.
What is an accent? Like a Russian accent?
Hello, all you political junkies. Something like that.
Oh, so like a
Cockney accent.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
It was horrible.
Makes me sound really intelligent.
Talking like,
hello, Elliot. How are you?
I don't know. So if you speak like Adele, then you're more intelligent. You're automatically better.
People love an English accent.
Do you have stats on that?
No.
Boom.
Maybe women. Women love an English
People
accent.
love accents.
But I'm not English. I'm Swedish.
You have an accent. We have an American accent.
A Wisconsin accent.
Wisconsin accent.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you that there's a website that talks about regional accents within the U.S. and the definitive Green Bay person is Dave Hansen.
What?
He's the voice. There's a recording on there. There's a website. I'll look it up. I'll try to get it for our notes.
Dave Hansen.
Dave Hansen.
Senator Dave Hansen.
State senator. Yeah.
Oh.
His voice is Green Bay. Like he's listed as. I told him that and he didn't know what I was talking about.
That's probably pretty accurate.
Right. Yeah, that's what I said.
Right.
I'm like, oh yeah, he is but it's interesting because I wouldn't know, everywhere else in the country if that's actually how the natives speak, right?
Haven't you seen movies where they make fun of how we talk though?
Right. Yeah, I have.
Very nasally.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wisconsin.
Sure. Wisconsin. Oh yeah. What's going on?
And I don't know anybody who talks like that.
Really? Because I do.
He really doesn't. No.
Sure he does.
I mean, a little bit, but they really.
Okay, so this is episode number.
I think we're 13.
Number 13.
Unlucky 13. Yep.
Yikes.
And it is unlucky because we don't have anybody in our little guest chair.
We don't have
there.
a guest, but we don't have a guest. This is on purpose. So we need to get some things out there, hash some things out. There's a lot going on. There's a lot to talk about. We want to talk about how you can help us spread the word about Political Radar. And how can people do that?
You're gonna start off with positive stuff first.
Let's do that. Let's get that out.
Well, so we have a really active bunch of people that are in the Facebook group, the Political Radar Community Facebook group, which I think we kind of expected, but I've been pleasantly surprised with like how many people, how active, and how intelligent the conversations tend to be there.
Well, I think people are looking for an outlet. They're looking for more. They want more information. If you don't happen to get a newspaper, even if you do, sometimes the news is 2 days later. It's nice to know that people do care and they're looking for information. They want to be a participant in what's going on in their community, as well as state and national politics.
Right. So to all of you guys that are in the Political Radar community, even if you're not officially participating with making your own posts and replying to things, if you're a lurker, or even if you're not in the group yet, if you listen to the show, it's super important for us to get this shared. I think that there's a hunger for people to have civil political discourse. And I think people are sick of, I know it's cliche, but they're sick of Fox News. They're sick of MSNBC. They're sick of whatever else. CNN, I don't know. I don't know where any of those cable things, I don't have money for cable. I'm a poor Wisconsin boy.
I think people are sick of television in general. So
Maybe.
They're looking for other ways to get their information.
We know people in TV though, so I don't like cutting TV. I don't like, that feels like a big bucket.
I don't have any TV service anymore. I have no need for that.
Well, but you watch over the air stuff. Or not? You watch no TV?
I don't watch any television.
Okay. Well,
I watch movies.
You're very cultured.
No, I just don't. I literally have no interest. It's not even that I'm trying to make a statement. I don't have any interest at all.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, The Bachelorette. No, not interested.
And I do know people that are, in the news industry and everything, but I largely don't either. I watch mostly movies and a couple of binge watch shows on Netflix or something. So maybe you're right about that. But I think what we're doing here, what we're trying to do, I don't know. Maybe I fail once in a while on pushing and kind of pushing against the agendas of our guests. I'm not sure. I would like some feedback on that too. But I guess what the reason that I brought this up, that I want to talk about how people can help us, is just tell people to listen. So if there is a topic, and we're going to talk a little bit about the Orlando shooting, I think a little bit. If something hits a nerve with you, share it. Please, share it on Facebook. Show a friend. When you hear the word podcast, I think half of all people have no idea what that even means. So show them. Show them that they can go to politicalradar.com and they can listen to this. Show them that they can get updated new episodes on Facebook. Show them how to follow it on Twitter. Whatever it is that you prefer or you think that they prefer, please help them. All of you guys that are listening, you're the experts, and we need your help to spread the word on this. That's really the long and short of it.
Great. Let's move on to a topic.
Awesome. So you want to talk about Orlando right away? I know you're kind of passionate about that. And I have my Orlando shirt on.
Yes, you do.
So I also...
I truly believe that, first of all, I believe that we're desensitized to gun violence in general as a country, and which is really sad. Now, I don't believe that every single person is, but I do believe that at this point it's like, oh, wow, that sucks. Let's pray. Right? And then what? Nothing. Nothing changes.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think we are all desensitized a little bit to varying degrees, right?
If you can't rally after 20 children, 6-year-old children are killed in their classroom, then what? Nothing.
But what does that
happening.
mean? What does rally mean, though? What do you do?
Nothing's happened. They've done nothing.
So why? What should happen though? What do you want to happen?
Me personally, I would like the weapons that people typically use. I'm going to go somewhere and I'm going to take down a lot of people because I'm going to make a statement. That's the whole purpose of what these people do, right? You're not going to make a statement with a handgun that's not semi-automatic. Okay, the whole idea is I can kill a lot of people in a little bit of time. How can I make that happen? I have a country. Guess what? I have a country that's allowing me to do that. That's making that easy because I'm protected under the Second Amendment. And I feel that's fucking wrong. And I truly, truly feel that we should try something. Now, there are people that say it's my right. It doesn't work. Well, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Let's see what happens. Why don't we try it?
Well, okay. So because it is unconstitutional.
I don't.
So what do you do about that?
But I guess that's what I'm saying.
Well, do you care about the First Amendment?
I care about the fact that there are these children and that we're not doing anything.
No, I get that, but there's a reason we have a Bill of Rights, and it's held up as being the pinnacle of democracy in the world and protections for personal freedoms. And I say that we mess with that at our peril. I feel like if we, I don't know where you draw the line, and so we don't. We said Congress shall pass no law. Now, states can have gun control, and they do, and it works to varying degrees.
But you can also travel. I think it's comical when people say, well, Chicago has gun laws. People can travel into Chicago.
Yeah.
I mean, they do.
Yep.
As far as I know, they can drive their car into Chicago and they can walk around Chicago.
So Chicago's an interesting case because Chicago is a very metro area and it's surrounded by farmland, basically, right? So there's kind of a culture clash. So I don't know that there's any way around that in Chicago. Chicago's sort of an anomaly, though. Gun control does work in New York, and Dr. Gallagher mentioned that he thinks that that's due to the NYPD. That there could be some truth to that. But I feel like we have a big country. And so having a blanket rule across everywhere makes it really tough. Like Montana is nothing like Illinois. And Illinois is really not that much like New York.
And this is all, you're saying all this and it's, there's really nothing that's, there's no way for you to really gauge that. Let's try it.
Well, no, we do gauge it. We gauge it every day. Montana's nothing like New York.
No, but I'm saying as far as the gun laws that would possibly take a semi-automatic weapon out of someone who walked into a gay club. Now tell me he would have had the same results without a semi-automatic weapon.
Well, okay, so the problem is let's assume that you're right. Okay. So
What am I right about though?
let's ban all guns tomorrow. Okay. Let's just take it to the.
But that's not what I'm asking.
I know. But the problem is that we already have millions of guns that are already in circulation. What do you do about that? There's nothing you can do about that.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is let's actually take a stand and let's show that we give a shit about what's happened and let's ban semi-automatic weapons.
I don't know the exact ordinances, but I'm quite certain you can't walk down the street of Orlando with a semi-automatic weapon. So that's already against the law there.
Yeah, but you can carry it. You can buy it.
No, you can't carry it.
You can have it on your person.
You can have
is what
it.
I'm saying.
You can have it at your house in your gun locker to protect yourself, but you can't walk down the street with it. That's already against the law.
But he got in there and with the gun, he was able to get in purchase.
People do bad things sometimes, and that's horrible and it's tragic. But it's I don't know the Orlando ordinances, but you can't walk down the streets of Green Bay with an AK-47. You can't. You can't. We have ordinances. You can't walk around with a gun out.
I think you can, can't you?
No.
Weren't there men that were down actually on Washington Street doing that?
Right, but you're licensed for that. You have to have an open carry permit. You can't just go do this, and then you're registered, and you had to go through classes, and you can't just do that. We already
Are there
have
separate
rules.
classes to carry a semi-automatic compared to just a basic handgun?
I have no idea, but even if you have a handgun, you still have to go through a permit process to carry it around. So in terms of like this specific tragedy and most of the big tragedies we're talking about, I don't know what you do about that, sincerely. And when I don't know what we should do about a particular problem, I err on the side of how about we do nothing.
Well,
because
and you're right with Congress.
Because
you're right up there with them.
But there are always unintended consequences of any legislation. Anything you do.
But there hasn't been any legislation. I think that's the problem.
Balloon.
So let's talk about this because we talked about this with Mike Gallagher, and I didn't really get an answer from him.
He probably feels like I do. I don't know what you do.
I'm not sure about that, but
no,
so
you're probably right.
There's a bill on the House floor, HR 1706, I believe is the bill name. 1076.
Well, I'll take your word for it.
Okay. It prohibits the sale of firearms and explosives to individuals on the FBI terror watch list. So we talked about this.
Yeah.
So what I think is interesting is, you're talking as this, if and Mike Gallagher said it as well, and so are you, that it's like, well, what list? And it's so, all over the place. But the reality is our representatives in Washington cannot even vote. They're not willing to vote on this. Okay. So they're literally holding people hostage in Washington. And if you take a poll, which has been done, the average American does not want a terrorist to have weapons, period. This is not debatable. It's out there. So why are House Republicans holding people hostage and not allowing a vote? And last night what happened was nearly 15 hours, the House Democrats, had a filibuster to basically say, guess what? This is bullshit. We need to do something.
Okay. So when Donald Trump is your president and he says that all people of Muslim descent and Mexican descent are terrorists, what are you going to do?
I think that's complete bullshit as well, because he'll
be the enforcer in chief.
Oh God, that's scary.
So whenever I say Congress needs to act and they need to pass a law, I think about the scariest person possible being the president and executing those orders. I think about because that's the check and balance there. So
he's really just a spokesperson. I don't know. I guess I don't know what your point is. I mean,
he'll be the enforcer. The executive branch is the enforcer. So he's in charge of.
If they're not voting, there's nothing to enforce. There's nothing happening.
But even if they did, so I'm saying, are you sure you want that? You sure you want?
I want something.
Because what does terrorist mean? I don't. I really. If I took that poll and you called me, I would say, well, what do you mean terrorist?
If you're on the terror watch list, like this guy that was in Orlando and we talked about this, was on the terror watch list in 2013 and 2014. But he was. I mean, have you been on the terror watch list?
I actually don't know.
Okay. I'm pretty sure you haven't.
I don't know. I say some pretty crazy things according to you.
If you've been on the terror watch list, you've done something wrong. Why should you be allowed to have a gun?
The Attorney General?
The FBI.
Yeah. So The FBI used to paint people as communists. So now the thing is terrorists. If you're an American citizen, I don't really want you on any list unless you committed an actual crime. And if you committed an actual
there's a lot
crime,
of excuses about this entire. This is some no one.
I don't really understand having American citizens on any kind of list that didn't break any laws. If you broke a law, then you have a trial and we do something about it.
You've had some sort of behavior though to be put on a terror watch list.
And who gets to decide that?
Well, the people that are actually able to basically watch that.
Which is who though? And maybe I know there's rules here. The Attorney General, I guess, right? Or the Attorney General's office. I'm sure it's not. I'm sure this individual isn't just going down a list and marking people up. But who gets to decide that? How are you going to protect against them putting political enemies on that list, even just to fuck with them?
If you're stupid enough to do some sort of behavior that gets you on a terror watch list, you should not have.
But what does that mean? What is the behavior?
Gun. Well, some related to being a radical Islam.
We're very informed people. I don't know what actually gets you on that list. I think that's wrong. We have lists of Americans and we don't know why they're on the list. That's horrible.
So you just said you don't know what's on the list and you think it's wrong.
Right. I don't know what gets you on the list.
Well, something I would think significant would have to get you on that list.
You would think, but I don't know. And so this is the problem with how all these regulations and laws, who enforces it? And I always picture somebody with an opposite ideology from myself enforcing those things.
Well, we clearly know that he was on the list for a reason because look what he did. I mean, you can't really argue that. This is a person that if he was, it was unjust that he was on the list and then they took him off. That's the problem. Why did they take him off? And why was he able to purchase a gun? Because clearly he should have been on that list and he should not have been able to purchase that gun. And he purchased those guns supposedly days before.
In 2013, there were 47,000 people on the no-fly list. Okay, I just did a quick Google for number of people on the terror list. Okay, as of June 2016, the terrorist watch list is estimated to contain over 2,484,442 records, consisting of 1,877,133 individual identities. There's 2 million people on the list. So what are we going to do?
There's a lot of crazy people out there.
But how? They are not all going to blow stuff up. So we are taking one person who's crazy and we're going to have a list of 2 million people that we're punishing because of that. I think that's wrong. I think that's wrong. So
do you think you think those people should be able to buy guns? Or they should be able to buy an assault rifle or a semi-automatic, whatever people want to call that. I know people they all get all like in the minutia of that.
So the problem is that there isn't a clear number of how many of these people are American citizens versus not. If they're not American citizens and they're traveling on passports, I think that's completely legitimate to not let them fly into our country, not let them purchase guns in our country. American citizens should have full rights unless they committed a crime. And if they committed a crime, they get a trial.
American citizens should be able to purchase a semi-automatic rifle as long as they're American citizen, even if they're on the terror watch list.
There's another problem with that.
Mm-hmm.
As Mike Gallagher pointed out, what's an assault rifle? So there's all these definitions that people just kind of throw around.
I can walk into a building and I can shoot down 20 children in a matter of minutes. Okay. That's the gun I'm talking about. That's the gun that was used to kill 50 people in a gay club in Orlando as well.
Yeah, so any gun that can shoot 20 people within 2 minutes should be banned.
If you're on the terror watch list, I think you should not be able to buy that.
But there's 2 million people on there.
What did they do? I'm not willing. I think that's the thing. It's like
thought crimes are bullshit. This is America. We have a First Amendment.
Then you really don't want to solve the problem.
I feel like that's anti-First Amendment. That's anti-Fifth Amendment. You're putting people without due process into a list. If they committed a crime, they should be locked up.
So you
don't think the terrorists?
These people care about that.
If these are actual terrorists who broke laws that were vetted and discussed in Congress, if they broke a law, they should be locked up, or they should be not let into the country if they're not American citizens.
But that's under the impression that you can't grow up in America and become radicalized. See, that's where I don't agree.
But
like
who gets
this
to decide
wall is
that?
going to keep all this.
Who gets to decide that? Like,
Decide what?
if you're radicalized. So if you're a Muslim and you say anti-American
If you walk
things,
into a gay
then let's
club
make a
and you
law
shoot
about
50
that.
people, you're probably
So
radicalized.
this is not just a Second Amendment problem. This is a First Amendment problem. So he did, and he got killed, and he would have been prosecuted. We have laws against shooting people. He would have been prosecuted and locked up for that, or given the death penalty, or whatever the deal is in Florida.
Those people don't care about that. They're on
Most
a mission. The people that want to do that don't care.
So blocking their ability to legally purchase weapons isn't going to do anything either.
It might make it harder.
And
I think most people will be willing to take that chance. And that's what I think the difference is. It's the amount of it's literally there's all this hypocrisy of we really want to, raise awareness and get this war on terrorism taken care of. How badly do you want that? What are you willing to do? How far are you willing to go? And I think that is what people apparently.
And if people want that, then they should move to China where they have stricter laws. I don't believe in that. I believe in American freedom. I believe in the Bill of Rights.
Well, American freedom is costing
dangerous.
us a lot
it's
of
dangerous,
lives.
and some people should leave. For people that are afraid, we call it
But
Canada.
freedom makes you feel good. Freedom makes you, it's a warm and fuzzy word, and it for a lot of people, it's some sort of.
It's not warm and fuzzy. It's dangerous, and it's blood has been spilled for our freedom.
So freedom basically says, I have the right to kill you because I live here.
No, you don't. And we have laws. If you break the law, we lock you up. If you kill someone, you get prosecuted for murder, and usually you go away forever, or you get the death penalty. So we have laws against that, but anything else is thought crimes. So if I think about killing somebody, so everyone who's ever made a movie where there's somebody dying, are we going to lock those people up? Where does that end? And how did these 2 million people end up on this list? We have a list of people in our country that are on there, and we really don't know why, and that doesn't bother you. And
but think of how many people are not on the list. Think of how many people are not on the list.
This guy was not on the list anymore. Yeah. So this number is even higher.
Anymore.
So maybe you were on the list and now you're not. Maybe I was on the list and now I'm not.
I would probably know if I was.
How would you know?
That I was on the list?
Did you go try to purchase a handgun? Like, how would you know? Or did you try to fly out of the country? Did you try to fly somewhere and you were on the no-fly list? And this is the terrorist list, which isn't necessarily the no-fly list. There's overlap, but they're not the same, I guess. I don't know. I feel like I'm a pretty plugged-in individual. I don't even understand what the hell's going on.
Well, think of it this way. Be common sense about it. So there's how many people in this country, right? You have to do, and there's only so much manpower and resources to even get this list going. So you have to do something. You're either too stupid not to keep your mouth shut, or you've done something that actually says,
you know what? In America,
that is possibly a terrorist.
That is my constitutional right to say something stupid. You're
going to get on the terror watch list.
That is my constitutional list, and that is nonsense.
I have the constitutional right to be
an idiot. You do. Oh. You don't have the constitutional right to shoot someone, and that's where it ends.
Well, this is where consequences, and just because it's in the Constitution, there are consequences, and we're living and breathing them right now.
Okay, so we're going to end up with, like we have at the airport, we're going to have a feel-good legislation that causes pain and agony daily for millions of people. For what? It's going to be security theater again. It's going to be security.
I'll tell you what, I think some of those parents of those people that died in Orlando would stand through. Don't interrupt me on this. They back. I don't think anyone cares.
They can't.
No, they can't.
No, so no amount of standing in line is going to bring them back. A person on the terror
watch list was able to be dropped off of it and basically could buy the gun that killed them all.
See, so what is it that you actually want Congress to do?
So
there's this filibuster.
Vote.
So you want
have a discussion.
On what though? A vote on what?
You and I are probably spending more time talking about this than
Congress should be talked
is.
about. But the problem is that both sides they don't listen to each other, and
some of them can't listen because they're basically their pockets are lined from the NRA, so they're paid to not listen.
And then the other side doesn't get money and they're pissed off about it, so they don't listen.
I'm sure they've been offered it and they've probably refused it.
Right, so they're pissed off.
That's blood money.
Yep, so they're pissed off too. So they aren't listening. They're on the other side because they're like, it's polarized. But even let's say everybody got along and everybody did listen. What is it that would be a good result? I don't know.
We don't know because nothing's been tried. Let's try something.
Things have been tried.
Not in today's age.
Yeah, we have other countries that have strong regime that locks everything down, where people can't say what they want to say, they can't buy what they want to buy, and we call that North Korea. And you can move there if you want to. I don't. I want to be able to buy things that are dangerous.
Can you talk about us? Let's talk about Australia and how that works.
Australia is also not. If we can't talk about North Korea, we can't talk about Australia. Australia has very little in common with the United States. Very little. It's a very urban country. So
how does North Korea have anything in common with the
nothing?
United
But
States?
neither does Australia.
But you just compare us to them.
Because it depends on what you want to do. So you want to do what they did in Australia? That's fine. Australia is basically like the state of New York. Like, the population is small. There's a few big cities. We already have gun regulations in these places. And oh, by the way, it's a fucking island. So they can keep guns from coming in. We can't keep guns from coming in. We can't keep drugs from coming in.
We're willing to
have
keep
laws against
Muslims
drugs.
from coming in by building a wall, but
we
we're not
obviously
willing to
don't.
Well, that's what, the big idea is that the Republicans have is
crazy.
we're going to build this wall. They're more worried about
insane.
keeping Muslims out than actually the guns. Let's face it.
And both are wrong. Both can be wrong. We don't have to choose one or the other. Both are wrong. Both are wrong. Like, guns can come from Mexico, and they're gonna. So
they're building a wall in Mexico. Isn't Mexico paying for it, Mr. Trump? Right?
Am I his proxy? No. I'm one of the never Trumpers now. I'm in that camp.
Smart. You're smart that way.
That way. Nice. So I honestly think we should wrap that up. But
okay.
But I don't know what should be done.
There's going to be a vote on the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy that they're going to do something. I mean, I fail to believe that every one of those Republicans who refuses to vote, and Reed Ribble, you're one of those people. Thank you for that. Nice. Okay. I really fail to believe that people that live in his district, congressional district, don't want him to have a conversation, to debate it, to not even have a vote. Do your job.
So Florida has tons of gun laws, and that didn't stop this catastrophe.
Okay, I don't know why people do that. We can go to Florida. We can drive to Florida.
You're breaking the law. If you carry a weapon in there and you're not following the laws of Florida, you're breaking the law. So if breaking the law is a justification for not, I don't know what that means. So we're going to pass more laws because people can break current laws. Like, what does that even? I don't even understand what that means.
We don't know. We need to try something different.
So you could pass a law banning the purchase of all guns.
Let's be clear. The law that we're talking about is terrorists being able to purchase guns.
He wasn't a terrorist. He wouldn't have been on the list. So someone accidentally ends up on the list or accidentally doesn't end up on the list. What happens then?
Okay. He was on the list 2 different times, so I don't think it was an accident.
So what do you, okay.
The accident is that he was taken off the list.
So let's pretend that this works, where he's on a list and we check it. Okay. So how do we check it? Like, literally, how do we check it?
That's for the FBI to deal with. That's not
the FBI.
That's not my expertise.
Not the FBI. These are for gun dealers to deal with. And how do you enforce that? How do you enforce that? You're going to track every weapon? I
don't know. Let's take the money that we spend on sending people over to war and let's get that sweetened up and let's take care of it. Let's actually have a great system that works for us.
I would like to take the war money and just give it back to taxpayers.
Okay, let's move on. I'm going to strangle you. What you don't see is me wanting to strangle him.
Yeah, I think everybody sees that.
Okay.
So
what next?
Well, you have any follow-up on our conversation with Mike Gallagher?
It was really nice to have him in the studio. I think it says a lot about him. I think as a candidate, it says a lot about that he was willing to come on our show. I think that was great. Says a lot about us that he was willing to do that. I think what's nice about being able to come on to a podcast is you get more than 2 seconds of a blurb. I do know that I think 30 minutes is not enough time to talk to somebody. Regarding,
he did say he'd be back.
Well, I hope so, but I'm not sure. We'll see.
I know you beat him up pretty heavy.
I didn't beat him up pretty heavy, but I want, there was, he's been called a Washington insider and the fact that politician, I think what that means to people really is you're regurgitating some sort of script that you have rehearsed and probably said 3 million times. You're probably in the shower saying it. and to continue just rattling it off and off and off. No, people need specifics. They want specifics. I think we were able to get a few of those out of him, and I'm really happy about that. And I think that will actually serve him well as well. I've seen people asking him on his Facebook page to be more specific. I think the average person wants some answers. They don't want to hear what you're going to see in a commercial.
But and they all practice this too. The easy answer is always, what are your thoughts on education? We need to provide more resources. It just doesn't, that means nothing. It means that you'd be in favor of personnel cuts, but you're providing more resources.
Exactly. Be specific.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? I mean, you're clearly going to get there and you're going to do something. You're going to support some ideas. He did say he wants to bring some ideas to the table. What are those ideas? Because you can't just have a vague, blanket of, especially when it comes to a conservative. I mean, we know where you are.
Well,
Why are you any different than your opponent if you can't be specific?
So
how are you?
Actually, I think that this election cycle proved that people who claim to be conservative, they are not even close to all the same. I am nothing like what Donald Trump, what he at least pretends to be. I don't even know what he really is, but I'm nothing like that. And I always considered myself to be at least fiscally conservative. I think people should be able to put whatever drugs they want into their bodies. I think that they should be able to purchase weapons. I think that I believe in freedom.
Even terrorists.
I believe in freedom. I do. If you're an American citizen, we have this. We wrote this down. We have our laws. We live by those. What bothers me is when someone, and I really feel like I didn't get clear answers on that, and I don't mean to beat him up on that because at least he did come on, and his opponents so far have not. Right.
His opponents are Frank Lassay. Frank Lassay, you need to come on. And who's the other guy? McNulty?
Yes.
And Tom Nelson of the Democrat ticket. We would love to have you on.
Most of the people that I associate with, my friends, I guess, the people that I think are politically close to me, they tend to support Republicans. And the problem I have with the party line Republican idea is, how can we possibly spend more money on our military, which I think Gallagher was in favor of.
But that shouldn't surprise you. He's a, Marine captain, so he's not, that's his world. That's his world.
I went to the Green Bay Public Schools. There are things that I could cut out of the budget there. You can be close to something and still have criticisms of it.
Nah, but I think if you're literally somewhere where, I think it's an entirely different. It's a band of brothers. It's a
problem.
It's a world that we are not privy to.
Yeah, it's a problem.
I have a hard time even commenting on that.
And
I can't imagine.
So and also it's political suicide to say you want to cut Social Security and Medicare, which is half of the federal budget and growing with a bullet, right? So
aren't there any veterans on that?
Yes, but look at the budget. And that's another huge chunk. That's probably, and then you have another little sliver that's like probably an eighth of the total budget. That's
are any of these veterans married to people that would be on Social Security? How is that okay?
What part?
To cut Social Security and Medicare.
Right. Well, I think he didn't have any clear answers on that. Nobody's going to say we should cut Social Security and Medicare. Nobody's going to say that.
Reforming it means cutting it. We know this.
Well.
When you say you're going to reform something, you're going to cut it.
No, it means you're going to say you're going to cut it and you're not actually going to. That's what reform means when people go to Washington. They don't actually, nothing.
But that's what they want to do.
When has anything been reformed? Healthcare got reformed? I don't think so.
How about this? How about you just say, you know what? You've been paying into it all your life. You deserve it. I want to hear someone say that. I want to hear a Republican say that.
I want to hear them say that to you and me. Because I've been paying into it and I know I'm not going to get a nickel. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. It's broken. We can't make that work. Is it going to be eventually 100% of our budget? But we can't. Could
we make it work if we took the war budget down?
Not really. That's only a quarter of the budget. If we take the entire military,
could we make it work if we taxed billionaires?
No,
we make it work?
No. We can't give free education to everybody. When you do these big sweeping changes, it moves the market for one thing. Oh, we're gonna have the federal government pay private colleges. Well, guess what? The private colleges are gonna say, I'm charging everybody $1 million a year. Like you can't. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. You can't have free everything. And I think people are keen to that, and that's why he lost. Sorry. You know, if you want to have socialism, North Korea is there waiting for you. You can go do that. Those things don't work. Those things don't work. So I guess the problem I have with Republicans, though, is they talk about balanced budget amendment. Okay, that's great. 3/4 of your budget, though, you are not going to touch. A quarter's military, half is Social Security and Medicare, and there's another sliver that's veteran benefits. So you're already at like 80% of the budget that you are not going to touch, and in fact, you want to raise. So you have this 20% that even if you took it to zero, you're doing almost nothing.
Well, and
so they can't.
How much are these people getting paid when they're in Congress? What's the salary for that?
I don't memorize that off the top of my head, but
it's not a small number.
No, it's for travel, and there's a lot of money there.
Yeah. And would it be fair to say that they're they have a socialist position to some degree?
Well, of course.
Right.
I mean, anybody in government, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But they don't like government.
Is there fundamental hypocrisy in
There's
that?
a huge fundamental hypocrisy.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think a lot of people have a reasonable criticism of there being a healthcare, health insurance plan that's for congressmen that are different from typical Americans. Yeah, I don't think that's supposed to be a part-time position anyway. So, they shouldn't. Really? Do we need to have
for that kind of money?
We need to have 500 people sitting in Washington passing laws 24/7? No.
Well, some of them aren't even. Some of them aren't even voting.
Good. See,
they're just sitting there.
So,
collecting a paycheck, having great health insurance, and all these other perks.
Okay. One last little piece on that. They're not supposed to. Our government is meant to have gridlock. There are checks and balances. It's meant to keep things from happening too fast.
By design. Then your paycheck should be lowered.
No, that's by design. It's fundamental to how the Constitution is written that we don't want things to happen fast.
Well,
when they happen fast, they're breaking
helping
the
anyone.
rules. That's not true. Things work, and we need to tweak things as time goes on. But you have to really vet those things. You can't filibuster until we pass an arbitrary law.
The Republicans have also filibustered, by the way.
Totally true. And unless they're filibustering on cut the federal budget, I think cutting taxes is not even ever going to happen because we're so in debt. But we need to cut the budget. It needs to happen. Our grandchildren are going to pay for that. And that is.
Well, let's start with Congress and their salaries. Let's cut that.
I'm listening for anybody to say no. We're out of time, right?
We are.
So
they go so fast.
Yeah. So politicalradar.com/13. This is episode number 13. I would love to hear some feedback. You can find me on Twitter at ELLIOT. You can find me on Facebook. I'm Elliot Christensen on Facebook. You should go to politicalradar.com. You should sign up for the Political Radar community on Facebook. You can go right up to the little search bar, type in Political Radar community, and you can sign up, and we have active discussions about what we talk about on air and even things we don't talk about on air. Lots of great people posting some cool things. How can people get in touch with you, Rhonda?
Rhonda Sitnikow, and I'm at Sitnikow on Twitter and on Facebook as well.
And please, again, like we opened the show, please share this with your friends and family, and please write in comments and questions. I would love to have some questions and comments to address from actual listeners. We want to talk about the things that matter to you guys. Thanks.
If you enjoyed this episode of Political Radar, please share it with your friends on Facebook and Twitter. Even better, submit a show review to iTunes or Stitcher. To listen to other episodes of Political Radar, please visit politicalradar.com/episodes. To support our podcast, please visit our sponsors who make the show possible. You can do this by visiting politicalradar.com/sponsors.
Thanks for listening to Political Radar. To ensure that you never miss an episode, subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. To stay up to date, visit politicalradar.com or connect with us on Facebook or Twitter.
This episode of Political Radar is brought to you by ReleaseWire. ReleaseWire is a powerful media engagement service connecting businesses to journalists and bloggers. If you need to get the word out about your business, ReleaseWire is an effective and affordable way to reach journalists and bloggers who are truly interested. And we have a special offer for you today. Submit your first on-demand press release with ReleaseWire and save 25% by entering the discount code PoliticalRadar. That's PoliticalRadar. Release Wire, from release to results.
Political Radar is a proud member of the Newsmakers Podcast Network, an ever-growing network of podcasts covering a wide range of topics. Check them out at npcn.tv.